Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. There is one matter to report out of executive session. It involves an audit that was conducted by Mr. Thornton and the campaign finance staff on the campaign finance account of Davian Sanchez. After discussion, Mr. Thornton recommended the entry of a consent order. A motion was made by Board Member Maderos, seconded by Mr. Scholes, on a motion to accept the consent order with the payment of $5,000 for violations of Title 17, Chapter 25 of the General Laws. All four board members present voted in favor, none opposed. The motion was adopted.
Thank you, Counsel. And is there a motion to seal the minutes of that executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Any opposed? And that would bring us back to item 3, which was the one single mail ballot that we hadn't addressed.
That's for Lisa Nielsen from South Kingstown.
And I know there was some conversation back and forth between board staff, executive director. If you could just run through what we found.
So the staff reached out to the South Kingstown Board of Canvassers. They did not have a digital signature on file. They did go looking for the original. They did find it, and they sent an email to us a short time ago that you should have in front of you the original voter registration form. They will scan that into the system today. However, they did email it to us for comparison to the purposes of today's meeting.
After seeing the form, is there a motion from any of the board members?
It's an exact match. I move we approve.
Is there a second?
I will second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the ballot of Lisa Nielsen. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner?
Sorry, I said I would like to thank staff and South Kingstown
Yes,
personnel for being diligent in finding this.
it's a good catch.
Motion carries and the ballot is accepted.
So I just asked that before we do the final item, we just need a few moments to open these, add them to our account, and then we'll bring out a new report,
Excellent. Yep.
and then we can certify the results.
Executive Director, we will go back to agenda item 4. The board may vote to certify the September 10, 2024 state primary election results.
Finally, members of the board, this afternoon, I respectfully request that the board certify the results of the 2024 statewide primary, which was held on Tuesday, September 10th. And the following is my report to the board on the conduct of the primary. 60,639 ballots were cast in the Democrat primary, and 19,912 ballots were cast in the Republican primary, for a total of 80,546 ballots cast, and an overall turnout of 10.47%. Of the 781,119 eligible voters, 57,489, or 68% of voters, voted on election day at the polls. 12,201 voted a mail ballot, and 12,086 cast a ballot during the early voting period, during the 20 days prior to Election Day. The results contained in the summary report today consist of the certification of all the results voted upon either by early voting, mail ballots, or Election Day polling place ballots. 3,917 voters deposited a mail ballot in one of the 41 election drop boxes located throughout the state, or at the Board of Elections in our parking lot, or at the Secretary of State's office in Providence. The drop boxes for the primary collected 32% of mail ballots received. And they received 1,542, or 39% of those ballots, in the 5 days leading up to primary day. 151 ballots were received during the first 15 days of the new 35-day drop box availability period, which was the new statute that the General Assembly passed this last session. 70 voters deposited their mail ballots in one of the 336 polling place receptacles located within the polling places on Election Day. The 70 eligible ballots collected in these receptacles represented 0.6% of the 12,201 mail ballots returned and counted. 3 receptacle ballots were voided for being improperly placed within the receptacle on Election Day by voters from those polling locations, as required under board regulation. 8,284 voters returned their mail ballots through the United States Postal Service, representing 68% of total mail ballots. Charlotte Larandrew administered the mail ballot nursing home program. She is a seasonal employee who has greatly stepped up to assist us in processing nursing homes with the departure of Jen Regan from the staff a few months ago. And she's been doing an excellent job. 11 bipartisan peers worked under Charlotte and administered 1,357 ballots at 95 facilities throughout the state over a 17-day period. This represents 8.56 of all the mail ballots requested. Now, in preparation for the primary, Mike Forrester and Jen Regan, who has come back to assist us on a limited basis to conduct training, Rob Quinn, Joanna Petrarca, and Jacob Ganser conducted poll worker training. Supervisors training consisted of 2 live virtual classes with supervisors actually viewing those classes from town halls. And a recording was also distributed of this training. We trained approximately 1,440 supervisors. The staff also went out across the state and conducted 18 in-person poll worker trainings. And approximately 715 moderators and clerks attended those trainings conducted by the board staff. And their final class was actually on Friday, September 6th, the Friday before primary day. Now, as usual, this task usually requires an extended workday for our full-time staff, usually lasting until 9 or 10 o'clock, just because they do have a substantial amount of duties during the day, which they're responsible for in the conduct of the election. And most of these trainings, or nearly all of them, were conducted at 5 p.m. In the evening. Also, in preparation for the primary, Jacob and Jan in our warehouse conducted a virtual training session and an in-person training section for Board of Elections technicians who work throughout the state. For as far as ballots, we actually packed 487,000 ballots in preparation for the statewide primary, 40,000 Republican early voting ballots, and 95,650 Democrat early voting ballots, and 2,650 nonpartisan voting ballots, for a total of 138,300 ballots. For the polling place on Election Day, 114,700 Republican ballots, 224,100 Democrat ballots, and 10,600 nonpartisan ballots, for a total of 349,408 ballots were delivered to the polls. Jacob and Jan worked to coordinate the preparation of all of this election equipment and material to assisted our three moving vendors, who are Hogan Movers, K.2 Movers, and DN Van Lines. K.2 Movers and DN Van Lines, as you know, are new vendors, and this is their first statewide election doing moving services for the Board of Elections. The vendors had 5 trucks on the road daily. Across the state, Movers delivered 452 DS200s, 389 express vote machines and tables, 3,850 privacy booths, 468 blue boxes, and 1,178 electronic poll books. We had 89 technicians on Election Day, spread out through the entire state. The Board of Elections in total received only 42 calls in our call center that day. And during that day, by the end of the night, by the close of the polls, we had replaced 2 DS200s and 6 express votes throughout the course of the entire Election Day. Now, this concludes my report on the certification of the September 10, 2024 statewide primary. And with your approval, I ask that the board certify these results, which will be sent to the Honorable Secretary of State Greg Amore. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
Thank you for that very comprehensive report, Miguel.
You're welcome.
And I move that we approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion
Certification.
certification signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, 4-0. And if that is the conclusion of business, I would accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? You can stay here.
Miguel, congratulations. Miguel,